Hey, good evening, everyone. I wanted to, I haven't posted in a while, and I wanted to do a series this week on trauma. I've seen a lot of people struggling with this lately, and I want to kind of give some context around trauma. I want to break down the brain a little bit this week, and I want to, at the end of the week, hopefully give you some skills that you can use to try to start identifying and working through your trauma. And I'll be posting some other stuff in the comments section as well. You should say hi to my dog, Mickey. Say hi, Mickey. He doesn't really care about us. He cares about who's driving by our house right now. And I kind of want to show off I'm in my house. And so I'm going to show off my Christmas tree because we're pretty happy with that. All right, so that was the fun stuff. And sorry, the Christmas tree's reflecting in my glasses. Let's start with what trauma is. All right, very first thing. First off, trauma simply means wound. That's all it means. Now, for trauma that's debilitating, we're talking about a wound that pushes us past our ability to cope with everyday life. And those are the traumatic traumas. Those are the things that really get us stuck and keep us stuck. So the short-term kind of traumas that can kind of push us past our ability to cope are like car accidents or random events that happen in your neighborhood. You get that letter about the family member who's really struggling, or just anything like that. You lose your job suddenly. Those are kind of what we would consider typically short-term traumas. And they're kind of like the big T traumas. Those are, pinnacle events that we can point to and say, that was clearly an event that pushed me past my ability to cope. That was clearly a time where I was not able to handle all the stressors that were going on in that situation. Now let's talk about little T traumas. Little T traumas are different. Little T traumas typically happen to us over our lifetime. Those are all the little events that push us for a moment or two past our ability to cope. Those are the times that we got picked on or bullied in school. Those are the times that maybe mom and dad gave us that look that, we didn't understand it, and it was like, what the hell's going on? We got called names by our brothers and sisters. Just lots of little things that happen to us that kind of compound. And a lot of the times, those little T traumas turn into, my dogs are going to bark. They're going to turn into the lifetime version of big T traumas, but we don't identify it because there's not a pinnacle event. And that's what makes trauma really hard, especially as we're sitting and I'm talking in front of my Christmas tree. We're talking about a season that for a lot of people, this carries a lot of little T traumas with it. If you had that year where you guys didn't have enough money, or if you had the year where, everyone at school is talking about all the presents they're going to get, and you're not getting anything and you don't have anything to talk about. You started feeling the difference between you and everyone else in the community. If you're a parent, not being able to supply for your kids, not being able to get them that one present that they want. Those are the things that really reinforce our myths about ourselves that, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not strong enough. And those little T traumas are sometimes the worst. I'm not saying the pinnacle traumas aren't important, because if I've been sexually abused, if I've been raped, if I've been, shot, or any, massive thing, that's going to leave its mark. However, most of the time we're pretty understanding with ourselves about the big T traumas. The little T traumas, we don't give ourselves any slack for. We don't allow ourselves to have gone past the point of our ability to cope. And we're going to talk about that throughout the week. We're going to talk about a concept called the window of tolerance and how we understand how we work in trauma. And it's going to talk about the fight or flight mechanism. It's going to talk about the freeze mechanism. And it's going to talk about how we get into our green zone, which is our window of tolerance. We're going to talk about the parts of the brain this affects and how the brain responds to trauma. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how to work through some trauma stuff. And sometimes we can work through it on our own. Sometimes just having a cathartic release can help. And sometimes we have to get, some deeper help to really work through the trauma. Ultimately, here's what I know about trauma. I work with a lot of people who have a ton of big T traumas. Like, we're really talking severely abused backgrounds, like lots of clear pinnacle moments of big T trauma. And I've worked with people who have a mix of little T trauma and big T trauma, and some people who just have little T trauma. What I know is that the human spirit, the human us, this thing that God created, that we can do a lot of things. We can overcome a lot of things. And that's super important to know. And as we go into this week of Christmas, which to me is one of the most hopeful weeks on the planet, it's one of the weeks where you can, in my view, you can feel men and women trying to be better to each other. And this week, as we head into this, I want to give people some hope. I want to help you understand what's happening to you, and I want to help you understand that you can get better. Trauma does not have to define us. It can leave scars, and I think scars can be a really awesome thing, and we'll talk about that too as we go on later in the week. So I look forward to the rest of the videos this week. I look forward to your comments and questions. If you have any, feel free to post them, and we'll see if we can even address those throughout the week as well. Hope everyone has a great evening. Looking forward to the rest of this week and seeing what we can learn about trauma. So have a good night, guys. Grateful for you, and thanks.